All right, hello guys, hello viewers. This is essentially launch test number 1 for what will become a podcast that you're just gonna love. Moving forward after this, there's gonna be a lot more organization, but today we're doing a little bit off the cuff. We're in the middle of quite a weird time, but also very fascinating, and so there's a lot to go over. And we figured instead of talking about how to do this, let's just do it, and we'll grow, and you can grow with us. And go fork yourself.
Go fork yourself podcast. Go fork yourself podcast today. Hey.
Love it.
Was that actually our intro?
That was our intro.
That's the intro for every episode from now on.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah, absolutely could pull it off without my math degree. Use very little math. Use a lot of elementary school math. Being comfortable with risk is very important. We tend not to have things like stop losses. I think those aren't necessarily a great risk management tool. I'm trying to think of a good example of a trade where I've lost a ton of money. Well, I don't know. I probably don't want to go into specifics too much with that.
This is all very funny, yes, but on a serious note, actually, this is not just fun and games. There's real lives being affected by the current situation. Look at this.
And one of the events that happened on Twitter Space as a result of this is somebody put all of their money onto, Celsius. And it was so he couldn't actually tell his partner or his wife, and he just had a baby. And he was, he couldn't face the thought of telling his partner that he'd lost all his money and she didn't know about it. And he came on a Twitter Space, and we were all just doing our usual thing. And he came on and he was crying his eyes out. And he was saying, Simon, these Twitter Spaces, it's the only thing that stopped me killing myself. And he said it driven him to alcoholism. And he said, look, Simon, I've got to be honest, I'm coming up right now because I've reached a low point. And you've got to tell me something, otherwise I'm going to blow my brains out. This happened on one of these Twitter Spaces, and it wasn't a joke. It was deadly serious, and everybody on that Twitter Space literally just poured their heart out around what had happened and what had happened to them. And this guy just felt so comforted and so in community and so supportive that he was around other people that were going through the same thing. That the very next day he sent me a picture on Twitter, a DM of his newborn child, and said, look, in that moment that the community supported me on Twitter Spaces, sorry, it's a bit emotional. I looked at my child and I remembered, because I was about to kill myself. He said, I remembered that money's not important, it's just money, and my son needs me.
I guess the first thing I want to say is, I've been through scenarios, you're familiar with this, where my family were effectively defrauded by somebody I knew for a very large amount of money. I've seen the pain that causes. As it stands right now, we've got very, very close friends that have been hit extremely hard by FTX. My personal situation, there's a small hit there. But it's nothing compared to what I know other people are going through. So, I just want to say, when we joke around, we put some funny clips about who I consider one of the biggest pieces of shit on the planet, Mr. Bankman-Fried. Fuck you. This isn't a crypto problem. This is a problem of A, criminals, B, the rehypothecation of crypto assets. We're seeing that now with BlockFi. Everything that's going wrong right now is anti-crypto. And that's my main message in this first podcast. I don't need to be doing this podcast, to be honest. I've thought long and hard. It's been a year since I've put my face back out there. And the reason I withdrew, it was kind of sickening what I saw going on, especially in crypto media. But, the key thing is it's the worst look for the industry. There's lawsuits being filed against, some of America's sweethearts.
Tom Brady, Deflategate.
Larry David.
pretty good.
It's going to clearly prolong a crypto winter. But for me personally, and we'll get your views as well, guys, but for me personally, I couldn't be more motivated to come back into the space and continue the message at great personal cost. I mean, the media, you know this, Jesse. I mean, we never really made any money from Hardforking. It was a passion project.
Well, au contraire, we certainly did.
Well, we learnt.
But by creating other synapses that connect with other synapses that led to other things creating, but there's always you can always find a chain link and see the positivity out of it. I think hard forking was a beautiful thing, and all honesty, we just completely kind of went cold. It's not something that we enjoy, but it was also just from the whole market kind of. Before the implosion that we're seeing now, it was imploding in our minds already, and there was a lot of fuckery going on, and personal reasons as well. And I know that I saw in prior comments to some of our more recent videos, people were some people were a little bit annoyed, and I get it. It's kind of a weird time, as you know, and we all have to go through our things. But we're here now, and I mean, I think that's the reason we're doing this, is to actually share our thoughts, because we're doing it in personal time behind closed doors without cameras, and I think there's a lot to be shared, and I think that we can, if there's any way of helping people out there or learning from other people and collaborating, let's do it.
Yeah, I think that, now more than ever, I've continued to make content, and it has not been easy.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to listen to a bear in a bull market, and nobody wants to listen to a bear in a bear market.
I think they're listening to you more now.
But this is just it. People are listening now because everything's blown up, everything's destroyed, and people are picking up the pieces thinking to themselves, well, what the fuck went wrong? And so now, this is the perfect opportunity for us to come back and just, explain the whole thesis of cryptocurrency. Satoshi created a peer-to-peer network to get rid of the middleman, to get rid of the counterparty risk. And we just handed over the counterparty risk, and we went to these middlemen out of convenience. So, it's time to get back to the core principles of what cryptocurrency is and how it can really benefit you if you are willing to understand what it really stands for, which at its core is freedom of speech. It is sovereignty. It's government accountability. It's all of these things. It's not just number go up, which, to say these messages 6 months ago, nobody would have listened to you. So, it's the perfect opportunity to get back out there and let everybody know, it's time to get back to the core principles of what blockchain and cryptocurrency are all about.
I knew a lot of people that were like, I felt guilty if I told them that I was trading or buying altcoins and flipping them and stuff like that. There was more people in the past, in my opinion, more OGs that were staunch about like fuck these fucking altcoins. People are losing track of what the hell we're doing here.
Yeah.
You're all just trying to make some money, motherfuckers. You're straying from this freedom fight, this revolution, and you're literally like, oh wait, there's a revolution there, but there's a shiny light over here, and I like shiny things, and shiny things are nice. So, Bitcoin, I'll be right back. You're cool. I love you, Bitcoin, but I'm going over here for a while. Yeah. I'll be back. I promise.
Just 100x, and I'll be back.
Okay, so I agree with most of that.
I'm being a little bit comedic here. I love. There's lots of ulterior coins.
Yeah.
Alternate coins that are worth their weight in Satoshi.
Look, in a nutshell, Bitcoin is a protocol. Ethereum is a protocol. Bitcoin is unique in the fact that it was code that was put out there. There's no central point of failure. Without getting into the tech on this, and we are, I think, in the next couple of shows, going to talk you through the process with Blue about how to buy Bitcoin, how to secure it. This is the point that everyone's missed. and hence we have the problems we currently have. But as far as alts go, look, of course we've all played that game. We had a bit of fun with 1 BTC and 32 Ethereum.
About the historical price performance. There's one person in cryptocurrency that tells you that Bitcoin's up 1.1 million X right now, and it's fucking me.
Look, you can make a lot of money on these things, but you have to understand what you're getting into. It's our job to tell you again. So, we're going to go through that process with you in the coming weeks and months. So I'm assuming most of you watching this probably know exactly what's happened with FTX, but assumptions are the mother of all fuck-ups. So, for those that don't, we'll just quickly summarize that now. Effectively, we've had people blindly invest in a millennial with a crazy haircut who appeared to be a genius. The way it's looking is this guy's really making Bernie Madoff look small fry. This is a huge amount of money. It's in the tens of billions. People have been hurt. You saw our opening clip. That's his girlfriend. I believe she was head of trading, no experience in that space. You got some of the biggest funds in the world, Sequoia, Temasek out of Singapore. They've all invested in this company. Now, the relationship with Alameda is where this gets really ugly. So effectively, you've got two companies owned by the same people. We've just heard that basically they built into the code on FTX that Alameda could not get liquidated. Now, Alameda was effectively the trading side of FTX, and that's where these guys came from in the first place.
And his girlfriend was kind of the Alameda.
He just appointed her to that. Bankman-Fried, none of us had really heard of this guy when he sort of showed up a couple of years ago, and what he was doing, and that Blue can probably give more information around this, but he was effectively arbitraging Bitcoin. He had found a way to sell Bitcoin from one region of the world to another, and there was a margin involved. So he made a fortune doing that. And off the back of that, he has set up FTX and Alameda. It looks like a total and utter criminal enterprise here. This is embarrassing for the industry, and that's why I wanted to start the show by saying this isn't a crypto problem. This is a centralized financial issue here that we do need to regulate around. This is not a crypto issue. In a roundabout way, taking a personal hit on the FTX scenario, we know people that have effectively lost everything on this one. Obviously, we've had Celsius, we've had Three Arrows, now we've got Genesis. Gemini also have got a bank run going on. It's a mess. But let's go back to basics here, people, and that's, I guess, what this first show is about. This isn't a crypto issue. Not your keys, not your coins. How many articles have we written? How many videos have we made? Been doing it for years, and here it is. So I think we've got a bit of a long crypto winter now because we've had so many retail investors burnt, but the usual story, I've debated heavily with people that I think are some of the smartest people in the space about what do we do next.
Prediction time.
Me personally, I primarily exited the market back in December last year, and I went into USDC. US dollar appreciated greatly, so it was an unexpected great trade. But then I had huge concerns around USDC. Can that fall over? So I've been going over their balance sheet, over their financials from their auditor, Grant Thornton. You can see that up on the screen at the moment. I've reached out to friends of mine who are global head of compliance for major banks. I've had them review it. I was terrified a few days ago. I was liquidating my USDC and going into Bitcoin and ETH. One of my friends who I respect greatly pointed out, well, if USDC fails, then your ETH is going to probably be worth nothing as well, which is a pretty valid point. The bigger picture here is they're not my keys. So I don't necessarily, that USDC can actually be switched off by that company. We've seen that with Tornado Cash. So yeah, while I will still hold a certain percentage of my funds in USDC, primarily because if I exit back to fiat and then have to come back in, I'm losing 5 to 10% each time on and off. And not financial advice, but my level of risk management there, I'm going to keep around 25% of my stack in USDC. I've moved a lot into fiat, but I'm now back buying, and I'm dollar cost averaging into Bitcoin and Ethereum. And here's the curveball. Think of this what you will, but I think it's an educated punt to buy some Doge. I think Elon potentially will use that as a way to stop spam on Twitter. It's actually a major use case of blockchain. If we can have micropayments where every tweet, every whatever on a social media platform would cost you a fraction of a Satoshi, a Doge, or a fiat currency, it just removes or the fake accounts, the fake numbers. So that's a major use case of blockchain I think we see. So, for me, I'm going to be very, very open about what I'm holding and what I'm doing moving forward.
You're saying, retailers, a lot of retail investors got burned, they're scared. But I also see that blockchain is not going anywhere. Blockchain is going to be a major part of infrastructure of the human existence. And so what comes with that, is a form of crypto in one way or another. And, with Disney and all these people, they're not just going to be like, oh, FTX just happened. I'm out. In fact, I think a lot of people are freaking out right now. And they're for good reason, but don't freak out too hard.
I think 3 months we either are at a lower level price-wise. I'm going to focus on price because that's kind of what I do. We're either going to be at a lower level or we're going to be the same. I think it's going to be quiet for a while, and it'll be either quiet bleeding or quiet staying still. In about 6 months, if we don't have another world war or some other large event, I think that we could begin to repair the trend. And I think that a lot of positive narratives are being built right now that go back to the core principles of cryptocurrency. And it just so happens that when you embrace the core principles of cryptocurrency, it also creates a supply shock in markets, which is a positive thing from a trading point of view. If everybody pulls money off the exchange and puts it in a hardware wallet, well, it's not on an order book. And if it's not on an order book, it's actually easy to move price again. So, not all is lost. Crypto has died so many fucking times. It's always died, and it always will die, and it'll die again. It's just a matter of really educating yourself. That's the biggest thing. And we say it all the time. You have to use it. You have to use crypto, because when you use it, Jesse, you can totally attest to this. When you use crypto, you get it. If you've never used it, if you've never pulled money off of the exchange, put it in a wallet, tried a DeFi application, bought an NFT, did something in the metaverse, if you've never done that, you're not going to make it. You're not going to make it because you don't get it. You don't know what you're doing. You're not convicted to the trade.
Yeah, for sure.
You have to be convicted to this. The more I learn about Bitcoin, the more convicted I become. And these events are kind of, they don't affect me emotionally like they used to. I've been where you guys are at right now. Obviously, this is a terrible event, and I'm really frustrated with how this all played out. A big part of me thought that, the days of exchanges stealing all your money were actually gone. I actually thought that we were making progress, and that, maybe we could have central services that were trusted. And now that trust is shattered, so it's time to go back to basics. And
speaking of going back to basics, the sort of anti-inflation narrative around Bitcoin, I've never been a massive believer in that, and now I'm not a believer at all. But what I do think it brings to every single one of you watching this, it is money you control.
Yeah.
Now, why the hell wouldn't you have a small percentage of your net worth in that asset, locked away. Nobody can touch it. They can't take it off you. They can't steal it from you. I mean, that's what Bitcoin is.
I would go as far to say that Bitcoin is the only property that you truly own, period.
I wouldn't disagree with that. Yeah.
You can own a house, but your house can be taken away from you. You can own a car, but you need a license to drive it. You need insurance to drive it. It's not really yours to do what you wish.
Well, if you're saying that if something can be taken from you, then it's not truly owned. Well, then that goes for Bitcoin too. I mean, if you're asking me what's going to happen in the future, the reason with FTX, it's not just another exchange duping the customers and taking their money. It's much more sinister and dark than that. I wish it was just an asshole who screwed over a bunch of people and we caught him and the bad guy's caught. The roots go so deep and so fucking toxically dark. What happens in the future of crypto? Well, sure, it depends on if there's a World War III and all that, but it also depends on whether or not, outside of this technological sphere that we're talking about, like people like us, but also people who are actually doing the hard work of like politically trying to figure out what's going on and to hold people accountable for things. That's like the more brute part of humanity that we have to also make sure it works. Otherwise, that's how crypto doesn't work, is that we don't fucking hold people accountable for doing these horrific acts. And it's not just one crazy goofball with a haircut.
Yeah. So, I mean, just staying on Bitcoin for a moment. Yeah, there are attack vectors. When you hear us talking about, okay, it's literally the safest thing you could own. There are attack vectors. I mean, a government could sequester a large mining operation, or shut it down, or request all the records, and that is an issue that still remains. But guess what our brand's called? Hardforking. Now, that's the beauty of these blockchains. So if something were to be taken down, the community can hard fork, and you literally need a couple of computers and that network can keep running. So it is almost unstoppable. There are obvious issues, but it's very, very difficult to shut this thing down. So, for me, after writing hundreds of articles and making hundreds of videos with Jesse over the years and a lot of other great people, my passion to just do this one more time, and hopefully people understand it this time around, it just makes sense to have that in your portfolio. Of course, play the game with, these other science experiments. There's a handful of them out there that are good. We'll do our best to tell you about those ones and review them properly. But most of it's turd people, you know that by now. Coming on to ETH, I mentioned that I started buying that along with Bitcoin. I'm dollar cost averaging. If you're not familiar with that term, it's basically just picking a day every week, every month, every few months, and just buying regardless of the price. So you're getting an average. And, I believe in those two assets. That's why I'm doing that. Doge, which I haven't bought ever, that to me is just a little bit of an educated play, or punt would be the word.
I think it's a pretty decent play. Dogecoin's a joke, but
it's a fork of Bitcoin, basically.
It's a fork of Bitcoin.
Yeah.
And when we look at all this other stuff that is centrally controlled, there is like a central controller. There's a dev that has access to the keys to the contract.
Yeah.
It's actually really rare to find something that's truly decentralized and distributed. Like Doge's proof of work.
Yep.
It's I'm not a fan of the project, but it's better than a lot of the shit that's out there. It's not dog shit.
Yeah. With regards to telling you that I've bought some ETH for the first time in a year, as I say, this is a dollar cost average play. I do not think that I'm going to see a price appreciation in ETH anytime soon. The reason behind that is if you look at the yields in DeFi at the moment, and most of the DeFi is on ETH, we're at a point now where you're actually getting better rates out of a bank. So that poses major problems for the DeFi space, short and medium term. I do believe in it long term, but I believe they'll be plugging into central bank digital currencies, which will maybe come to today. I don't know. We'll see how this show goes. But look, I think, those two protocols, not projects, they're protocols, and you need to understand the difference, people.
Can you just give a brief summary of what a protocol is for
So a protocol is how data moves around the internet. It's a language. It's how things, computers talk to each other. So TCP/IP, which is what really runs the internet, that's a protocol. So, Ethereum and Bitcoin are almost, you can view them as sort of monetary layers or protocols on the internet. With the information being spread out across hundreds, thousands of computers, which is what decentralization is. So a Celsius and FTX, all these other things that you've seen fail, it's not crypto. These are centralized companies.
Might as well be a bank.
It is a bank.
Yeah. Yeah. So, my thesis for short and medium term, safe, intelligent plays for me personally, are Bitcoin, Ethereum, and a little bit of Doge. That's my punt. That's my wild card. Yeah. So, next bull run, I'm going to be playing the altcoin game. I've still got a ton of altcoins. I mean, they're down 80, 90%. I've taken the same hit all of you have.
Yeah. If you can just hold tight with a lot of them now.
Yeah. I mean, look, Jesse, I mean, that's why I think your contribution here is going to be really interesting, because you're the user. You're in there. You're creating music. You're using the different platforms that are relevant to you. So look, I still believe there's good people out there doing good projects. I've had 25 years in IT. I had a cryptography company back in the 90s, in the late 90s. So I've been around this. So, for me, understanding blockchain when it came around wasn't that difficult. But I'm seeing the same stuff I saw when the bubble burst, and that was a terrible thing for me. I'd built a big company, and it was almost out of business in a matter of weeks when that bubble burst. And it's kind of what we're seeing in crypto at the moment. It took a long time for the internet to really take off. It was really another sort of 10 years before it was widely used. But look where we are now. The big difference here is that the rate of innovation, not just in crypto, but just in technology, our bandwidth, how connected we all are, will mean that these cycles are just so much shorter and faster. So this isn't a bad thing where, we're getting rid of the idiots, the scammers. Actually, we're not.
There's always going to be more.
Some of the worst are still here, and I can't believe that. But
And there will be more later on.
Yeah.
But I would say this, that as we get rid of more and we bear the fucking brunt of some really bad ones in the future, I do think there are lessons that are learned by the brightest. And some of that knowledge trickles down to the less bright.
100%. Well, one of the biggest things about blockchain and eliminating counterparty risk and third parties is you can program it in.
Yeah.
So every time something blows up, you have taken millions of dollars from a very talented developer who is coming for your fucking throat by developing some product that will ensure through code that it never happens again. So we will keep building products. We will keep building infrastructure that does not rely on trust. Trustless. We don't need it. It just works.
In closing, a lot of you are hurting out there at the moment. We played that clip from Simon Dixon and Kim.com. We're very sensitive. We've got friends that are in some pretty dark places at the moment, or because of what's happened. Reach out to people if you really are struggling with what's gone down here. Life will go on. Look, I'm a guy that was having to sleep on people's sofas and didn't have 2 cents to rub together a couple of years ago. Here's me teaching people about Bitcoin. I think a lot of people thought I was minted. Certainly wasn't the case. My financial fortunes have fluctuated dramatically, putting it mildly, over the years. So, if you're in a position at the moment where it all seems dark and there's no way out of this, there is. So hang in there.
Yeah.
Community is everything. Community is there for support. It's there, it's a collective of minds that understand what you've been through. They understand what you're probably going to go through, and you can always ask questions. And then, when the good times come back, they're there to help you learn and help you, move forwards and protect yourself from things that happen in the future, potential exploits. Like, you need a community. If you're flying solo in crypto, you're just doing yourself a disservice. Really, like, this is a grassroots movement. This is a community-based thing. Like, no corporate entity is going to help you here. This is about you and the collection of people who have also taken it upon themselves to move forwards sovereign. So you have to like learn. You got to drink the Kool-Aid, man. You got to be part of the cult. You got to ask questions, get in the Discord servers and get in the Twitter spaces, get in the Telegram groups.
Also, spit out the Kool-Aid for a second, drink some water, go outside, get some sun, go for a swim, go for a walk, go for a run, hit the gym, eat some good food, get some good sleep, get all that, make sure that's part of your routine, because that will help you get your mind right to start making good moves, moving on from here on out. And mistakes were made, great, whatever, it's over. Moving forward.
Yeah, I guess my closing comment, and is probably just reiterating exactly what you've just said there, but the quickest way to progress in life, in my opinion, is to make mistakes and learn from them. Make them big and make them frequently. Life is there to be lived. You've got to put yourself out there. So don't beat yourself up if you've made some bad calls and you find yourself in a difficult position at the moment. Learn from those. Why did you make them? Why did you make them? Was it you? Was there something you need to work on personally? Were you duped? Were you listening to the wrong people? Figure out what went wrong, but learn and move on. That's what life's all about. Learn and move on.
Hard fork.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hard fork your life.
Hard fork your life.
Absolutely.
Well, that's a good way to wrap this up, guys. So thank you very much, and we will get back to you with episode 2. That probably looks a lot better than the one you just watched.
Yeah, this one's all about letting you know we're back. It's been a while. We want to build a great community again. So please let your friends know we are back, and we'll see you next time.
Go fork yourself, go fork yourself.